freshly painted, so bright were the colors. He had no desire whatsoever to go into Vigàta, or into what at least had been Vigàta up until a few days earlier, because in fact the town had put on a completely different face. It had been, well, thrown back in time, turned into the Vigàta of the 1950s. This irked Montalbano no end, because it all seemed so fake, as if he was attending a masked ball at Carnival. The whole business had begun some 4 or 5 months earlier, when Televigata invited its viewers to search their homes for old Super 8 movies, which had been so popular around the middle of the previous century, and to send whatever they found to the studio offices. The television station would later integrate them into a program, a kind of The Way We Were about what the town was like in the 1950s. For whatever reason, the initiative was a resounding success, perhaps because the whole thing had become a kind of game for the townsfolk, who were having a ball seeing how time had transformed them or their children from toddlers who looked like beautiful little angels just descended from the heavens into toothless, hairless, sickly old geezers, and women who'd once been the light of the town into grannies good mostly for knitting socks. Then they discovered that all this to-do actually had a specific purpose. All the material gathered was to serve as a visual aid for a production crew that was coming to town to film what is commonly known as a TV movie. Without fail, a short while later, the crew's technicians arrived, half of them Swedish, half of them Italian. Now, the strange thing about all this was that the group of Swedish technicians included some breathtakingly badass babes who did a variety of odd jobs. As assistant set designers, sound technicians, stagehands, and so on, which left the townsfolk a bit flabbergasted to see such beautiful women having to work and wondering what the actresses would look like when they finally arrived. And indeed, when they actually did arrive, work in Vigàta came to a standstill. With the flimsiest of excuses, people would drop whatever they were doing and run to the movie set. Things got so bad that law enforcement was asked to keep the rubberneckers away, and law enforcement in this case naturally took the form of one Mimi Augello, who had been put in charge of the patrolmen protecting the film crew, with special attention given to the actresses. This, in short, reduced the staff at the station house basically to 3 people, the inspector, Fazio, and Cattarella. Luckily, it was a period of calm, and nothing was happening. The Vigàta townscape had changed. Gone were the TV antennas, the rubbish bins, the neon signs, and there was nothing remaining of the shops and stores Montalbano knew so well. The inspector had had someone tell him the plot of the TV movie. The story was set naturally in the 1950s and involved a Swedish girl working as a bosun on a steamship from Kalmar who falls seriously ill during the sea journey and is admitted to the hospital in Montelusa. Once she recovers her health, she goes down to Vigàta to be near the port and is taken in by a fisherman while she waits for her ship to return. Due to a series of setbacks, the return of her steamship is delayed, and in the meantime the Swedish girl falls in love with a youth from Vigàta and creates a life for herself in town, while nevertheless maintaining deep in her heart a secret hope that her ship will come back for her one day. And she keeps on nourishing this hope even after she gets married and has a child. Finally, the day comes when the ship returns to harbor and the young woman decides to board in secret, unbeknownst to her family. She arranges with a sailor to have him take her out to the ship in his boat, but at the last moment the Swedish girl changes her mind and turns back to her home in Vigàta. When Montalbano heard this story, it sounded to him like a plagiarism of a beautiful story by Pirandello, entitled Far Away, in which the main character is not a girl bosun but a Swedish sailor named Lars. But he didn't say anything to anyone. As he was drinking his second coffee on the veranda, the phone rang. He went to answer. It was Ingrid. His Swedish friend had, for the occasion, become the official translator for the